All right, here we go with the last lesson, or sorry, not the last lesson. It's the last method for solving a quadratic. Still have 3 more lessons, but yeah, I'm gonna jump right in. This one's the quadratic formula. Some of you may have heard of it. We've learned about the 4 other ways already. Just to recap, it's graphing, square roots. I'm gonna kind of abbreviate here. Complete the square. And the one we just learned, lesson 6, was factor or factoring. Okay, well, what if none of those work? There are times when none of those ways will work, all right? The nice thing is we have a formula. The quadratic formula works for any quadratic. So if it works for any quadratic, why would I have shown you any of the other 4? Well, there's some downfalls with the quadratic formula. It takes a long time. It does actually even take longer than graphing usually. And there are many places you can make a mistake, like a lot of them. So you got to be careful on this one. So before I go any further, I'm just going to tell you, if you think that you can do this, every question using this on the test, you will be mistaken because you will run out of time and you'll only be about halfway through the test. Okay, that's how long these can take. So the formula is right here. That will be given to you. You don't have to memorize it or anything like that, but there are a couple things I want you to notice. The fraction bar goes under the whole denominator, or sorry, the whole numerator, not just the radical. I have a lot of people who stop or put the fraction bar only right here. It goes under the whole numerator. And then the sign between the first term, negative b, and the radical is plus or minus. That's very important because that gives me my 2 solutions. Okay, so that's the intro. We're going to solve these using the quadratic formula. Now, I know I said I'm going to give it to you. Hopefully you can see it on your paper. I can't see it right now, but I know my quadratic formula. So I'm just going to go ahead and get going. I want to write out A, B, and C, kind of like we did back with graphing, just at the beginning here. Now, another thing I didn't put on there, but it's always x equals negative blank plus or minus square root of blank squared minus 4 blank blank all over 2 blank. Notice I put all 5 as blanks. Basically, I'm getting this all set up to what the only thing I'm putting in are the A, B, and C values. I could literally take a snapshot of what I just wrote out and put that as my first step on every single problem, and I'd be correct. Now it's just a matter of making sure you put the right numbers in the right spots. So it's negative b, so 9 goes here. B again, 9 goes here. A, 3. C, 6. A again on the bottom, 3. So it's BB, AC, A. That's how that works. Again, you're going to have the formula. Now it's just a matter of simplifying. So negative 9, right? The negative, don't lose that negative. Plus or minus the square root of 9 squared is 81. Now, where people mess up is right here. That minus 4AC really messes people up. I'm going to give you a suggestion of dropping this negative straight down here and then putting another box like that. Great, that's fine and dandy, but what I'm really looking at is I've already wrote the negative down in the second step. So that negative is not being looked at. That I'm looking at this as a positive 4 times 3 times 6. I'm not looking at that as a negative 4 because I've already used the negative. That gets people all the time. So please follow what I'm doing here. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 6 is 72. So positive 72 goes in there. This one's pretty easy because everything's positive. When there's negatives involved, it can get a little hairy. 2 times 3 is 6. Now I'm going to finish what's in the radical. So it's negative 9 plus or minus the square root of 81 minus 72 is 9 divided by 6. Now I'm going to do the square root of 9. That's my focus now. So that would be x equals -9 plus or minus. And the nice thing is square root of 9 is a good number. It's just 3 divided by 6. Now this is where I get my two solutions. So I do -9 plus 3 divided by 6. And then I do -9 minus 3 divided by 6. Kind of like completing a square, but then you add a division step in there. So -9 plus 3 is -6 divided by 6 is -1. So one of my solutions is -1. Do it again. -9 minus 3 is -12 divided by 6 is -2. So my two solutions are -1 and -2. You can see all the work there. Okay. You can probably understand what I mean by don't try this on every single problem on the test. You won't get done. Okay. And honestly, this one was a pretty easy one. But let's move on and do one more. 2x squared plus 7 equals 15x. First of all, it's not equal to 0. That should stand out to you real quick. I need to get 15x on the other side. So I'm going to subtract 15x before I even identify a, b, and c, because to identify a, b, and c, I need to have it equal to 0. Now the -15x goes in the middle. It doesn't go after 7. It goes between 2x squared and 7. So now I've got a equals 2, b equals, instead of 15, it's -15, and c equals 7. All right, so now I'm going to go over here. X equals negative blank plus or minus the square root of blank squared minus 4 blank blank all over 2 blank. And now it's just fill in the blanks. B is -15. Again, it's -15. A is 2. C is 7. And A is 2. So -15 makes +15 plus or minus square root of -15 squared is +225 minus, and I'm going to go ahead and put my box around these things again. So it actually isn't too bad again because it's all those numbers in that box are positive. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 7 is 56. All divided by 4. Don't forget that bottom. I see a lot of people who, there's all that work on top and they forget to do the bottom. Okay. So 15 plus or minus the square root of 225 minus 56. Real quick. I get 169 divided by 4. Square root of 169 is actually a good number. It is +13 divided by 4. This is where I get my two solutions. So 15 plus 13 divided by 4, and then 15 minus 13 divided by 4. 15 plus 13 is 28 divided by 4, gives me 7. 15 minus 13 is 2 divided by 4, which gives me 1/2. So my two answers are 7 and 1/2. Okay. Yeah. Word problems. A child throws a ball. By the way, these are not that hard. Okay. A child throws a ball upward with an initial velocity of 15 feet per second from a height of 2 feet. Use the vertical motion formula, which you will get used to. And it's going to be given to you. It's not like you have to memorize that either. H equals -16t squared plus vt plus c. There's 4 variables in there. H is the height of the ball at any time. So it kind of H changes. V is the initial velocity. This one's in feet per second. C is the starting height. And T is the time in seconds. So there's 2 parts in there actually that change, H and T. The time changes and the height changes. But the initial velocity is a number. There's only one initial velocity and there's only one starting height. So V and T really aren't variables. They're just numbers. All right, so plug in what we know. So in this case, we do know the velocity. And we know the starting height. So our new formula is H equals -16t squared plus 15t plus 2. Okay, that's the new formula for this specific problem. Now, if no one catches the ball, how long will the ball be in the air? That's a very, very typical question that you will see. How long will the ball be in the air? How long will it take for the ball to return to the ground? Round your answer to the nearest hundredth. That's 2 decimal places. Now, I'm going to explain all this. Just know that you don't have to have this explanation, but this is what should go through your head. We are looking for a time, right? How long will the ball be in the air? We're looking for a time. So we need to solve for t. If no one catches the ball, then eventually the ball will hit the ground, which has a height of 0. So if we're looking for the time when the height is 0, let's put 0 in for h. If I do that, I get 0 equals negative 16t squared plus 15t plus 2. And look what we've got. We have a quadratic equal to 0, which means we are solving it. Therefore, we can use the quadratic formula to find the time. So t is like x, so we can find the x value of this situation. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and clear all that, move down to the space that I have, because I'm going to need all of it. I'll rewrite what my equation is. 0 equals negative 16t squared plus 15t plus 2. A is negative 16, B is 15, and C is 2. Here we go. X equals negative blank plus or minus square root of, not sure why that's not writing, b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So b is 15, b is 15, a is negative 16, c is 2, a is negative 16. Let's start simplifying. That's negative 15 on top, plus or minus the square root of 15 squared is 225, minus, when put the box around this again, 4 times negative 16 times 2. I'm just looking at that. Don't worry about the negative that's there. It's already been accounted for. That's 4 times negative 16 is negative 20 or negative 64. So negative 64 times 2 is negative 128. All over negative 32. The sign is so important because if you have the wrong sign, you're going to get a number like this inside the radical. You're going to get 97 if you have the wrong sign. But in reality, 225 minus negative 128 is actually 353, very far apart. You can't mess that up. Divide by negative 32. Now, it says round to the nearest hundredth. So this is actually not a good number. Type it in the calculator. Square root of 353 is 18.788. And that's all I need right now because this is hundredth. I need to look at that number. So it's going to be 18.79 is what I'm going to round it to. Divided by negative 32. This is now where I get my 2 solutions. I'm going to go all the way over here to do that. I'm going to actually change color to make it make sense. Negative 15 plus 18.79 divided by negative 32. Then I'm going to have negative 15 minus 18.79 divided by negative 32. Negative 15 plus that is 3.79 positive divided by negative 32. 3.79 divided by negative 32 is negative 0.12. That's one of my solutions. The other one, negative 15 minus 18.79 is negative 33.79 divided by negative 32 is 1.055, so 1.06. Okay, so I have two solutions there. So how long was the ball in the air? Which one do I choose? Well, I'm going to go with 1.06, and this is in seconds. So the ball was in the air for 1.06 seconds. Now, I'm going to go ahead and scroll down a little bit here. Why did this have only one solution when they typically have two? Well, it actually did have two. Probably caught this. One of the solutions was negative. And you can't have that when you're talking about time. You can't have negative time. That doesn't make sense. Okay. So we take the positive in that situation. So I'm gonna go ahead and clear all that work, and we're gonna talk about a little bit more. It's not gonna be much, but you've seen a couple different word problems now. What if I asked you, and this is what I did ask you way back in lesson 1, actually, what if I asked you to find the maximum height of the ball? Is that gonna be able, are you gonna be able to use the quadratic formula for that? Hopefully you realize that that's not gonna work. The quadratic formula only helps you find, if it's on a graph here, it only helps you find when this thing is going to hit here. If I'm asking for the maximum height, that's not quadratic formula. What would you do there? Well, that's the vertex. How do you find the vertex? That's the axis of symmetry. Kind of a reminder here of old stuff. It's kind of drifting in the background a little bit. You'd find the axis of symmetry to find the x coordinate of the vertex. And then you would plug that in and get the y value. That would get you the maximum height. You're going to see both of these types of word problems on your test. So you need to know what to look for and what to use to get those things. Okay. That's it for quadratic formula. Number 1, there will be another quadratic formula, which has a little bit of a change to it in the next video.